Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Welcome
I like it when
to
I get breaking news on my phone right when I'm about to go live. That's great.
that music summons breaking news, I think. I think that's how it works. Um, welcome to Marvel Time
It's like
28.
like Doctor Strange
Exactly, yes.
and the multiverse of breaking news.
Which pretty much sums up the news that we deal with these days. So, uh, we are going to be talking about 5 new Marvel comics, like usual. We'll be breaking down what is finally a new episode of Moon Knight for us, one that we hadn't seen weeks ago. So I'm excited to talk about that, and then the latest Marvel news as well. But let's jump into our comics here, and we're going to start off with the big one. Well, what any other week would have been the big one, I suppose. But we'll talk
It
about
wasn't the longest comic we read.
right, exactly. So the Amazing Spider-Man #1, which feels weird to say, but yeah, we have
With art by Steve Ditko and story by
we have a new run on the Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells. I'm
and
curious.
the return of John Romita Jr. to the art.
Yes, which is very cool to see him come back to Spider-Man, and some great art in this issue. Actually, before you jump in, I will just go ahead and say this is my pick of the week.
Hate to tell you, mine as well.
We're starting at the top, and trust me, it's only going to go down from here.
Yeah, I love this issue so much, and I'm not a #1. Like it starts with a plot device where it goes like 6 months later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like something bad has happened, and we don't really know what it was, but it's got Peter, being down on his Peter luck. He kind of goes like this, and he's at the bottom. We don't know what's going on. There's lots of weird characters. Great supporting cast stuff here. And it just, there's a lot of Spider characters these days, but it's when Spider-Man gets to be Peter Parker. It's not about web slinging. That's not what makes him cool, right? And so there's a lot of Peter Parker in this issue.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like there's this mystery element to it where, I mean, we've seen Peter has always been this kind of aloof, he's always missing appointments. He's always letting people down. And so his personal relationships have always been kind of strained. But the one for me is when Aunt May has a problem with Peter, that something big went down. And now I'm like, I need answers. I need to know what happened here. And that's how I was reading this issue. I was, constantly, flipping through pages looking for answers. And I have a feeling this is going to be the case for quite a while in this run. But yeah, I agree as well that there's a really good supporting cast. I like too that, the last few Spider-Man stories we've been talking about, we've been dealing with like a demon repossessing the souls of Peter's past, and a evil corporation with a sentient sandwich department. So now it's nice that we are getting to this sort of street level, like the underworld crime or organized crime of New York, and dealing with that sort of stuff and getting a little bit more. I don't want to say, I mean, it is a little bit, it's gritty, but it's not the Batman, it's.
Wow. But I would say, he's in a dark place, but he still has that wittiness to him. I mean, Seb's known for his comedy, but there's not a lot of humor in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he's not Batman. He's not Moon Knight. He's not, right. He still has some optimism left even when he's down.
Yeah, and that's what I loved too, especially when he puts the suit on. It's still that same old Spidey. There's no difference there. That character has remained the same, and I love that. So yeah, we both clearly like this issue a lot. Real quick, hi Kidder. Let's move on to our next issue, which is Thor #25, Legacy #750, and this was roughly 750 pages long.
I'd like to point out it's not #25, it's #24. So we'll have Legacy 750 today, and I'm sure the issue 25 is just going to be as nuts. Just because.
Yeah, probably. So this one took me a while to get through, to be honest, and it was like, I don't know. These comics sound like a really cool idea when they're announced, and you're like, "Oh, this is so cool! They're bringing back all these different teams that have worked on Thor," and it's a fun collector's item to have. I think it wasn't a whole lot of fun to read for me. What did you think?
Donny Cates loves killing things. I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, there is this. So the way that this issue is structured is this sort of overarching story going on. That, I mean, not a whole lot happens actually in that story. It's just sort of characters' reactions to something that happened. But then in between, there's a lot of like short stories that sort of kind of loosely tie in throughout Thor history. And I don't know, I found myself just kind of like, you're following this story for 3 or 4 pages, and then you're starting a new story, and I didn't feel like any one of them really got my attention.
Yeah, you're right in like it's a great collector's item. It's maybe if we were reading Thor and we needed this sort of break, to kind of reset, then like I mean they all these they do this thing like we just wrapped up a big story. Venom did this, and you kind of recap, you take a break, you talk about his history, you do something that teases the future. But Thor is always a thick read because it's who he is. So a $9 comic of Thor is a lot.
It definitely was a lot. It does leave us with an interesting cliffhanger setting up a story going forward. So kind of interested in that aspect of it, but this could have been 40 pages shorter. Moving on to our favorite, getting into the world of X here, the Knights of X #1, this new series here. So there were 2 X books that we're going to be talking about, and I expected not to like this one. This is the one that I enjoyed a great deal more than the other. Actually, I was surprised by that. There's some fun characters in here. It's still wildly complicated. There's just years of context going into it that doesn't fully get explained. I still don't understand the powers of some characters involved in this story, but I did enjoy it. It's a straight up fantasy story, and I like that Marvel can do that, can get into a different genre. You can be reading 5 different comics and have 5 completely different genres on a given day.
Well, and this is Trini Howard's sort of spiritual successor to Excalibur, which I thought was very hard to keep track of. Mm-hmm. And they did, like, it was almost funny. It's like there was so much exposition. It was so clear that that's what it was, that I imagine if I was like an avid reader, I'd be like, duh, why are you talking about this? But as someone who kind of hops in and hops out, I appreciated it. And there's a lot. And, you definitely had to read like, 10 of Swords, I think, to really get what's going on here. But it wasn't as inaccessible as I kind of feared it would be. And, you don't need to know, the key with X-Men is you don't need to understand everything. You just need to get the basics, because there's a lot. I mean, there's tons. It's a team book on X-Men. There's at least 15 major characters in this book in 28 pages. So,
now I called this Knights of X. Is it supposed to be Knights of 10? They keep doing this where it's an X, but it's always 10 characters. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be called.
I don't know. I read it as Knights of X, but that.
I don't know. The X always stands for 10 in some way in the comic, and then I confuse myself.
Good question.
Before we move on to our next issue, we've got Cardfreck asking about the Avengers X-Men Eternals crossover event coming up. Yeah, we're looking forward to that too.
I actually got some info about that today.
Oh, really?
Stand by. Well, keep talking, and then
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on to our next issue here, which is the other X title that I expected foolishly to be a bit simpler, given that it's a Sabertooth comic. Sabertooth is, I mean, almost as simple as X-Men related characters come. He's just a big cat man. And yet I was thoroughly confused by this issue.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't, because if you're not going to have the single character book be simple, then why are you
Right.
doing it?
Yeah, he's teaming up with several other people. Some of the characters I don't even recognize, and um, it's happening in their minds. I think they are captured by Krakoa, and there's like a simulation playing out that we are watching. And I don't know. There's definitely some interesting characters in this story, and weirdly though, the character whose story I want to hear the most is not Sabertooth. It's a completely different character. Um, and I don't know how much of that character story we're going to get in the future. So I don't know. I was disappointed. I was expecting this to, break the mold of the current mutant related books and have this be, just a fun action heavy Sabertooth romp, but it was not that.
So before we get too far, I just want to say we got the solicitations for July, and so regarding that Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day crossover, it looks like it's going to for at least for July there's going to be 2 issues of the main title, but it looks like most of the tie-ins are actually going to be X-Men related with Immortal X-Men number 5, X-Men Red number 5, and X-Men number 13, X-Force 30, as well as a one shot called Death to the Mutants. So
Okay.
What I thought was interesting is I thought it was kind of be spread between like the Avengers, like there's an Avengers book that's not listed as a tie-in. So
Oh, weird. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I did expect more of a focus on the X-Men and Eternals, because it is really like the Eternals want to wipe out the mutants. But that is interesting. It's very X-Men heavy. I will say of the list that you just gave, X-Men Red is the one that has me excited. Let's move on to our final issue of the week here, which is Silk number 4. And this was my reading order, by the way, so I am very happy to have bookended with 2 issues that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's. I think the Spidey office was doing
Yeah.
that was winning this week.
Yeah, I like this. It was weird, but it was fun. Silk is just a fun character. I'm typically not a huge fan of characters that are inspired by other characters. So all the other Spider-Man characters are not my favorites usually, but Silk is just entertaining, always fun to read, very light and easy read. And then there's this interesting dynamic where she has been turned 60 years older by a witch. So you've got an elderly spider person trying to swing around New York City, which was fun. And plus bonus points for J Jonah Jameson.
Oh, wait, you see his new pop figure today?
Oh yeah, we're gonna take a look at that later. So those were our comics for this week. But like I said, we also had a new episode of Moon Knight. And I was so happy to be watching a new episode of Moon Knight this morning and really, really enjoyed it. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it too. It's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always feel like the penultimate episodes of these things, it always feels like, how are they going to resolve this in one more episode? But it was interesting because it brought us a little bit more humor to the situation. But it also brought a lot of like dark stuff and sad stuff and cuss words. So it's interesting is there's 2 different directing teams on this show, and I can't tell, like there doesn't seem to be any sort of
No.
Which is good because I don't want to have 2 different styles in one show, but unless it's like WandaVision,
right.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, and the longer we're in it, the more I think Moon Knight doesn't end with this show, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think there's definitely a big picture role for Moon Knight in the future.
Yeah, and it's strong performances too all around, even from
absolutely. Oscar Isaac is absolutely crushing this role, and he really got to, flex his chops in this one because he had a lot of weight to carry. And you're right, it was dark, it was heavy, but it was also, they still managed to throw some humor in there. Tawaret, I've been struggling pronouncing that one, but the giant hippo was hilarious in the bits that she got. Is that a hungry hippo you're going for right now? There's a lot going on in this episode. I think they've done a really good job balancing keeping comic accurate while also introducing their own new twist on the story. So we got a lot of Moon Knight's origin story in this that felt like it was lifted right from the comics. And then there was a lot more going beyond him becoming Moon Knight. His whole family background was different. So that was fun to. Fun is not the right word because it was definitely dark, but it was cool to see that story sort of play out. And I do like that they introduced his brother, who may or may not have a role to play. We'll see. But there's another Spectre out there in the comics. So I don't know if that's a spoiler for the show or not. I doubt we see that in the finale of this season, but I do agree though too. I feel like they have left themselves again with a lot to wrap up in just one episode. I wonder what the runtime will be next week, and hopefully they can pull everything together. And you would assume it's probably going to be about an hour long. So
and it's interesting because we've had this before, and a lot of times like Loki, the way they resolved it was just not resolving it.
Right.
Season 2, and that's perfectly fine. WandaVision just kind of aced it, just kind of went on a wild ride in the last episode. And then I'm trying to think what else we've had.
I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier really threw a whole lot of action at us,
right? Yeah,
all in one episode. So
and then what was there's one more I'm forgetting. Oh, Hawkeye. Yeah, I would say Hawkeye was almost sort of interesting in that it was one where we don't know when and if we'll see the characters again, but still had hanging threads, but didn't have a season 2.
Right.
I felt like the one where WandaVision we knew was going to segue into Multiverse Madness. Obviously Loki has season 2.
We knew we were getting Captain America 4. So.
Right, yeah. And this one, in Hawkeye, we just really don't know where that's going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm presuming it's not over because then that's just poor plotting and they don't do that much. Or if they do, then they find a way to get out of it 20 years later in some throwaway scene. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I don't know when I'm going to see the last episode, but because I just think it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm really curious to see, because this is the first character they've introduced on Disney Plus that hasn't already existed in the MCU. So, as far as the title character goes. And I'm really curious to see if they would be willing to take a character from Disney Plus, put them on the big screen in their own movie in the future, or is it going to be more like they're going to be locked into Disney Plus? How flexible are they going to be willing to be with this sort of thing? But yeah, I'm really interested in the future of Moon Knight now. We'll see what direction we're going in next week. But let's jump.
I've got a question before we move on from Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Or I should say, before we go to something else, are you jealous of Alex right now?
I am, yes. And we'll talk about that a little bit too. Also, before we move on, a couple other comments. Card Trek says, Peter Porker is the best Spidey variant character. Hard to argue on that one. And Kidder, thank you for the plug. The LP Marvel podcast is the Zacks of Life, which reminds me of the Facts of Life.
Wow.
That was the inspiration, which thanks to Mike C. playing off the 80s sitcom with Who's the Boss. So
you take the good, you take the bad.
All right, so let's jump into our news, and we are going to stick briefly with Moon Knight. The soundtrack of Moon Knight is available now. And first of all, I've really enjoyed the music of this show. I mean, it seems like Marvel is always crushing it with the music. I still listen to the Loki soundtrack quite a bit, so I like this one a lot too. You actually got to speak with the composer.
I did, and he just seemed. This is his first American work. I mean, forget like big budget. This is his first. Not that Egyptian films can't have big budgets, but they don't have like Disney Plus budgets. Right. And he just is so happy to be doing it, and mixing his own style, but with a cinematic. I'd say shellacking on top of it, and it's so cool to talk to these guys who love movies. This isn't a classical composer who is slumming it in a movie. Not that anyone who's just score is slumming it, but like he's just so happy to be a part of this and let the music sort of enhance the storytelling. And he was a great guy. I mean, you can read the interview on some website, and I hope we hear more from him. I hope we hear more from him on stuff that isn't obviously takes place in Egypt, just because, I mean, obviously he got that role to bring that tone to this show, but I think he could do a lot of great things on any film. It doesn't need to be Moon Knight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope they do lock him in with this character in addition to giving him, other characters to play with. I thought it was so interesting too, to him just saying like, I had to create music for a hero becoming a superhero and then flying and stuff like that. Whereas like, it's very different than if you're writing a score for a conversation happening for a family drama, something like that. So it's just interesting to think of how the mind works jumping from one project like that to another. Speaking of jumping to another project, we're going to stay in the MCU, but we got a new poster for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This one is really, really cool. I haven't really examined it too closely, but I don't think they're hiding any Easter eggs like Deadpool in this one. So.
Oh, I found the comic QR code this week.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot. I wanted to mention that too. They did kind of hit us over the head with it this week. It was kind of right there for us. But I did you check it out? Did you check out the QR code?
Moon Knight #1.
Yeah, which was pretty cool because that tells you the character's origin story for the first time. So I like that they did that, tying in with the episode. And you can go back anytime on Disney Plus and get that free digital comic with that QR code. And I should mention, it is when Steven is looking into the window on the street that Mark grew up on for the first time. So you can see it. You see the QR code on the right there. And you scan that, it takes you to a free digital comic. But so I like this new Doctor Strange poster.
Seems a little late.
What was that?
Seems a little late.
Oh, yeah, it is. Excuse me. It is a little bit late to be releasing a new poster for a movie that comes out next week. But so you mentioned me being jealous of Alex right now. And yeah, he's at, what is it, CinemaCon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they showed the first, 15-ish minutes, I guess?
He said about 20.
20 minutes of Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. So that is exciting. Also, Kevin Feige just dropped the bomb that set Twitter going crazy earlier today, saying that he is in the middle of a Marvel retreat where they are discussing the next 10 years of Marvel films and laying out their plans. So not that I was ever nervous that Marvel movies would stop anytime soon, but that's still just like a nice little comfort blanket thrown on me.
I was shocked. Like, what did they think was going to happen? I'll be like, no, we're good. We're done. like they're planning more Marvel movies? What?
No, as long as they keep making like $1 billion, they're probably going to keep making it.
Look at what Sony's doing. They're still making them, despite no fact nobody wants to see them.
Speaking of, set me up for a good segue there. Yeah. This is a thing that's happening. We're getting an
except about the guy in the chokehold.
Yeah, exactly. The interesting part of this picture will not be a part of the movie that is happening. El Muerto, a professional wrestler in the Marvel universe, getting his own movie, played by Bad Bunny. I
believe Stan Lee said it best when he said, "Enough said."
Yeah, man, it's gonna get so hard to be watching Sony's Marvel movies in the next couple of years here. This one is coming. They do have a date set for it, January 12th, 2024. So, make sure you have notifications set so you can buy your tickets as soon as they go on sale for
All the great superhero movies come out in January.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So yeah. All right. Well, let's change gears to something more positive. Although this one is not. We're sticking with Sony. I forgot we had one more. Across the Spider-Verse. I do like this movie, but the news is not so great because Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 has been delayed from October 7th, 2022 to June 2nd, 2023. Quite a decent sized delay. Not sure. There's no reasoning shared for what is causing the delay, but might just be positioning, trying to get a big summer release for a movie that, everybody's going to be looking forward to. Everybody loved Into the Spider-Verse. So just posturing for a big spot maybe, but yeah, definitely excited for that. June 2nd, 2023. The second one was also pushed back, which you would expect, and will be coming the following year, I believe. So, jumping to the Disney parks, the music of Avengers Campus has been released on digital streaming services. I don't know if you watched Parks Talk was this past Monday. This music got a lot of heat from the crew over there in Parks Talk, and I need you to back me up here. What do you think of the Avengers Campus music?
What is it? I mean, because I know like the theme that they play from Avengers. I know the theme they play from Spider-Man. I know the theme they play from Ant-Man. Mm-hmm. What's the Avengers Campus theme?
Well, it is a mix. It's a 12 and a half minute, I think, loop. That is a blend of music from the obviously the Avengers theme, the Spider-Man movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther, all heard in that 12-minute span.
That's great. That sounds awesome. Why would you give that heat? That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you can go back and watch Jeremiah try to prove his point that it's all the same thing for 12 minutes and then play 3 very different clips of music. That's my...
I will. Okay, I'll give you that. There's a style.
Yeah. There's definitely
it's amazing. That's like saying like it's only like I got 5 scoops of like mint chocolate chip. It's still 5 scoops of mint chocolate chip.
Don't bring up scoops of ice cream right now. I've had way too much ice cream in the past 24 hours.
Said no one ever.
Jumping to merchandise with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness coming up, we've got a new America Chavez doll, which I actually saw. It is available on Shop Disney, and I saw it in person at Disney Springs yesterday. Pretty cool. Nice little fun. I mean, it's strange because, people don't really know this character unless you're a big comics fan just yet. So it's probably not flying off the shelves right now. But I would imagine give it a couple of weeks and it'll be gone.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait. She's not revealed in the last 3 minutes of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I can confirm she's revealed in the first 20 minutes of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it seems like based on the trailer and posters and stuff that she has a pretty big role to play in this movie. So, and then the merchandise alluded to earlier, the new J Jonah Jameson Pop, which is available for pre-order right now and coming in June, I believe. Yeah, it is coming in June. That's all. I don't think I need to say anything. I don't need to sell anybody on this, right? Like you're probably pre-ordering it right now. I need to add this to my collection for sure.
That there's the posing. I mean, and pops aren't known for like their posing, but this is great.
Yeah, it's so good. I think it's the mustache that really sets it over the top for me, and the newspaper too. It's a fun little prop. Okay, so we'll end.
And I like how the Spider-Man in the newspaper is a pop.
Yes, yeah, I like that they always stick with like their in-universe design of all the characters. Let's end with some comic news, and the one that I am most excited about because I feel like I've been waiting forever since they announced this. We are finally getting the Predator #1 coming on July 6th. I think it was about 2 years ago that they announced this. they announced it's an Alien at the same time, and I think Alien number 12 came out today. So I've been waiting for this for quite a while. I enjoyed the Alien series from what I've read so far on Marvel Unlimited. Predator has always been one of my favorite sci-fi things ever thought up. So I am really, really looking forward to it. The story of this comic sounds amazing. And again, July 6th, Predator number 1 will be coming. Going off of a comic that we talked about earlier, The Amazing Spider-Man number 7 will be coming in July, and we'll see the return of Norman Osborn. And it looks like he might be building some stuff for Spidey. We might have our first ever spider glider, which seems like a really cool concept. But I'm also so curious now, having read number 1 and whatever's going on in Peter's head. Is he aligning himself with Norman Osborn right now? And is that the right thing for him to be doing? I can
tell you right now, the answer is no.
The answer is no to the second question, though. Is that
it's
the right?
Never right to align with Norman Osborn.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited for this series now. I think more so than anything since like King in Black. Like I don't think I've been as wrapped up in a comic series since then. So definitely looking forward to Spider-Man number 7 and number 8 as well. Norman will have a role to play in. And again, they're coming in July. And finally, we have a new Marvel Unlimited Infinity comic series. We have Who Is, which with the first 2 installments of this comic, we have America Chavez and we have the Scarlet Witch. I think you probably know Wanda pretty well at this point, but doesn't hurt to brush up on some of her history. And now you can get to know America Chavez a little bit better before you see her in the first 20 minutes of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So yeah, that's all our Marvel news from the past week. Anything else? I mean, we have just a absolutely crazy week coming up. So
no, you don't even understand. Like Mac doesn't even know. It's nuts.
Well, I am looking forward to all of it, but I will also be ready to collapse on my bed for the 3 days after that when it's all set.
What time's your flight?
Tomorrow, early.
Good luck. Enjoy all that Marvel goodness.
Yes.
Maybe they'll have Eternals on the plane or something.
Actually, I may have looked into this already, and believe it or not, Spider-Man No Way Home is on the plane right now. So, yeah.
Very good.
We are still going strong with the Marvel Initiative on laughingplace.com right now. Today, you'll see my full written review of Amazing Spider-Man number 1. We got some fun with the NFL draft that's going to go up tomorrow. That's tying into Marvel a little bit. What else? Oh, new Zacks of Life went up on Monday, where we drafted the best MCU twists, which was a fun, interesting draft that played around with the concept of what is a twist, I think.
Who's your guest?
It was Doobie. I just wanted to hear what that reaction was going to be. I want to make sure too, before we wrap things up, what are you reading these days?
Nothing, because I don't have time. I fall asleep. Like I was thinking, like I can make something up that I'm reading on Marvel Unlimited, but I'm not actually, because it's been crazy.
Yeah,
it's been nuts. It's not stopping.
Well, it's funny. I was really hoping you had a comic recommendation because I don't have one this week. Instead, I have Okoye to the People, new novel that you can see my review on laughingplace.com right now. It just went up on Tuesday. It was fun. It's very different. It's not your typical Marvel superhero story. So it's if you're looking for something a little bit more grounded and relatable, then I'd recommend it.
So in my head, every time can you see the book title?
Okoye to the People.
You know what goes in their head? Morgan and Morgan. For the people.
Yeah, very different from Morgan and Morgan.
Yeah, not a scumbag.
All right. Anything else before we wrap things up here? We have what is today? Today's Wednesday. Jeez, it's
I'm just gonna be full out there. Marvel Time's gonna be hopping around because we're busy.
So, yes, that's true. Yeah, next we'll be at a special time and day, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and I don't even know what I can say about what's coming up in the next couple of days because there's a lot, but I don't know what we're allowed to say. So,
well, I will say we have Drafting Place coming up on Friday, tying into the NFL draft. So
right, and if you're wondering why it's not on the first night,
yeah, other things. But yeah, we're gonna be drafting the best spooky content on Disney Plus to tie in with halfway to Halloween.
Who's doing it?
We haven't locked that down just yet. We'll figure that out as we go.
Well, Mac, I just want to say good luck.
I was waiting for a "we're all counting on you."
Yeah, that was coming, but it's a Paramount movie, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
I think you make the rules. I think you're allowed to say whatever you want. Okay, maybe not whatever you want. All right.
I'm so tired just thinking about the next week.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Rate these 4 things that are happening in the next week, and you rank them. Okay. You're going to, it's no secret, see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to ride, presumably, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to watch the finale of Moon Knight. Ooh. And you're going to read Secret Invasion #1 of the new Secret Invasion story. Rank them.
Oof. Well, to be honest, I wasn't aware. Like, Secret Invasion #1 wasn't on my radar. So I guess I have to put that at the bottom. Oh man, that's tough. The rest of them, Multiverse of Madness has to take the top spot. I've been looking forward to this movie for a while, and all signs point to it being absolutely crazy. So that's going to be #1. The other 2 are so difficult. Say Guardians is #2 by a hair, and then Moon Knight is 3. Yeah. So yeah, that's all happening in the next 5 days, 6 days. Math.
Well, week.
Yeah.
Because Moon Knight will be a week from today.
True. Yes. Good point. I wasn't counting today.
Oh, okay. 6 days.
So yeah, we are busy. We're gonna have a lot of Marvel fun coming your way over the next week. So strap in. There's a lot coming. Anything else? We all good?
What's that?
We all good? Anything else before I wrap things up here?
No. Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to do this hard work.
I just want to let you know we're all counting on you.
All right, let's wrap this up. Bye, everyone.